Hi, guys. It is I, Becca Lori Hector here, and I am back. I have been on a little YouTube vacation. I took a couple of weeks off from YouTube because um, I was really feeling burnt out, like mega burnt out. And so I really had to do, I was talking to you guys about burnout and all of this stuff for a while. And then I finally had to do like emergency mode, take care of myself thing. And it's a good thing that I did. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about that today. Um, I'm sort of still processing some of it. So we'll see kind of how much I can share with you just because it's not all done in my head. Like just because I took 2 weeks off doesn't mean that in 2 weeks I completed all the things that I kind of needed to brain wise kind of be done with. And so that's what I did with the last couple of weeks is sort of review what was going on for me and try to unravel sort of where the burnout came from, right? Like, how did I get that far along? Because I was not well. So, a couple of things. I took notes the whole time, of course, because you know me. And I just want to share with you what I mean by I took notes because a lot of people think, um, I don't know, that I use some kind of fancy journal or something like that. No, you see this on my phone? This is how I worked out. This list of things is how I worked out for myself what was going on. I kind of unraveled the burnout and thoughts that I was having and that kind of thing. And you guys, needed this space away so badly. I did not realize how kind of um stuck in my own shit I was that I couldn't see. You know how they say, oh, you can't see the forest for the trees or whatever about autistic people? My hair is so staticky, it's making me crazy. I'm sorry, you guys. It's like super staticky right now. Um, and I looked at kind of what was going on for me, what was exhausting me, what were the things that started me out on this sort of journey for burnout situation. And how I was going to get out of it. So I don't like falling too deep into anything these days. That's the way that I tend to save myself. Is that if I start to sense things going on like burnout or shutdown or having some struggles, I try to do something about it before I am in the depths of it, so to speak. And I did that this time, and that's cool. But I was still really not feeling well. So here's some stuff that I started to think about while I was kind of in this burnout place. I started to think about how I was feeling, and I sort of started to separate out what are the things that energize me that I do, and what are the things that drain me, and am I creating a good enough balance for all of that stuff? I also started to think about, um, what things do I want to keep in my life? Where do I need to make changes? And what I realized as I was going through all of this is a couple of things. First of all, I talked to you guys a lot about how we continue to evolve and continue to grow, and we set goals for ourselves and we get there, and then we need to set more goals for ourselves and kind of design further along in the whole process. And as I was sort of thinking about all of this stuff, I felt really done. When I set out to do sort of have an autism platform of any kind and to sort of talk about this and to make a career out of all of this, um, you know, it was a goal for me to get to a certain place. And there were things that I set for myself as goalposts, um, that if I was able to achieve these things, well, then I will feel done. One of them is the course. And I've not only created it, but put it out there. And I've taught it over 10 times now. And it works. And so, kind of, not that I don't want to say I'm done with it. Like, I won't ever teach it again, or it won't be out there for the world. And why is my hair making me so crazy right now? I just want you to know it's making me crazy. So maybe I should put it up or something. I don't know. So yeah, I was busy thinking about that and how I'm kind of feeling really like done with autism crap. which is scary a little bit when you've been doing something for a very long time. Um, but it has to happen, right? We have to respond in real time to the way that kind of life is, um, being there, our reality is. And as I looked at all of this stuff, I was looking at all of the areas that I kind of set out, to make a difference in, and I'm feeling really different about autism world right now. I feel like when I first started, um, women on the spectrum didn't have a voice. We didn't have a perspective. We didn't have books. Nobody was talking about us. The autistic community didn't have a large voice or a loud voice, which I'm proud to say we do now. And at this time, autism and neurodiversity are making their way into the mainstream. And one of my big goals was to normalize autism in adulthood, to sort of bring it into the mainstream and make it something that people aren't afraid to talk about. And I see that happening around me all the time. I also see, the almost utter disappearance, though it will take a long time, right? But at least a changing attitude about ABA, changing attitudes about hearing from autistic adults and our opinion being valid, and all kinds of other things, right? Um, and I'm seeing all of that change, and that's stuff that I wanted to make change about, and the change is happening. And it's time at a certain point for us to kind of pass the torch on to folks that are younger than us, folks that can make use of TikTok and all of that shit, and who are ready to take on with a lot of energy the next phase of growth for the autism community. And then, of course, the other really big goals I set for myself, as a lot of you know, I am somebody who really looks up to certain people, right? And I have my own mentors and ideas of who I want to be out in the world. And someone who has been really important to sort of um, giving me that has been Brene Brown. It's someone who I quote all the time, someone whose work I really appreciate. And one of the things that I thought, I'll never be able to emulate properly for Brene is that idea that she is at her core a social researcher. And I'm proud to say that with the funding that I got working towards autistic quality of life, which is what I'm working on this year, one of my big projects, that I did that, right? And that came into my life this year. And the other big one was, I know I have a book in me, and I know that I have stories to tell, and there are lessons from my life growing up undiagnosed that people can glean from. But I never wanted to really put my energy into that without a book contract, without someone saying, we want to hear that story, right? Or we're ready for you to write that story. And I got that this year too. So what I'm feeling right now, I think, and where this burnout is coming from, is that I'm done. I don't feel the passion. I don't feel the draw. I don't feel the excitement or the energy from the autism stuff anymore. And so I'm really wanting to see a shift in what I do in terms of any autism career, starting now for myself. I'm really, really someone who is at heart a researcher, at heart a science person. And I really have always felt like for our community, research is our way in. Our research is our way to get validated, right, on stuff. And so, and it's a way for us to then kind of make sure that we get the supports and services that we're looking for. And as you guys know, kind of honing in and paying attention to autistic quality of life is a big push for me. And that's where I get energy. I have fun working on the research stuff, and I don't feel like it pulls my spoons in a terrible direction, and I don't feel compromised morally, and I don't feel like I have to hustle and chase things in the same way. And so now that I've sort of crossed the hurdle into funded research, I feel like I want to stay there. I feel like that door is open for me for a reason. And I've sort of had not enough of, but I've put enough energy into advocacy. And now I need to take some back for me, and I need to find some enjoyment in it. So that's some of the stuff that I was beginning to think about as I've sort of had this time off, right? And so here, I wrote down some things that um that like what I know here. That's what I was like, I'm just going to keep a list of what I know, and that's what the list is. It's just a running list of what I know or what I was learning and coming to realize over these last few weeks. So to begin with, I really want off my phone and the internet. And so much of what I do as an advocate and as a consultant is like I'm just stuck on the computer or stuck on my phone or always available in that social media email way. And I'm tired of it. I am tired that I even if I want to break the habit of spending so much time on my phone, that so much of what I do for work and for occupation is online, that I can't. I'm losing touch with the now and in the moment and enjoying my life. And I need that back in myself, right? I don't feel free, I wrote down, which I think is really interesting because that's my word for this year. And I don't feel free in my life. I don't feel like I have free time and flexibility and freedom to do the things that I want to do. And that missing freedom, that not feeling free, is definitely my purpose for this year. Figuring out how to be alive and live my life while also feeling free. And I feel trapped. I feel like the autism community is a little bit of a ball and chain for me right now. Like I'm dragging it around with me, but it doesn't really want to be with me, and I don't really want to be with it. And so um, it's been a force, and forcing it has been draining my energy for sure, right? That I need more boundaries around my personal space. That was a big wake up over this period, that like I don't mind being public and sharing things with you guys, but I don't feel free to share it when it's important because I'm so scheduled with how I share it and when I share with you guys, meaning the live streams and the courses and the seminars, right? And so I'm not free to just share with you good stuff and things that are going on because every week I'm obligated to share, right? And so I'm not having boundaries about what's mine and what's everyone else's and all of that stuff. So time to think about that stuff as well. And I'm just feeling unmotivated, that unmotivated, unenergized energy. Well, and I wrote down right here after that, autism no longer gives me joy. And I want you guys, as people who know how important joy is to me, to understand what that means and how important that statement is, that autism no longer gives me joy, right? So I started to think about, how did I get here, that kind of thing. Well, my original plan was to ride my autism consulting to be able to afford a house and move out to Colorado. And then Antonio and I were going to open a business of our own. And that was the original plan. And because of COVID, right, I was forced to kind of shift everything up. Everything had to change. And it really took me off course of that original plan. And so I have to really think, does that original plan still work for me? And if not, what is the new version of that original plan? But I don't think my purpose was to step entirely off of my path, which is what COVID sort of has me do, right? And so I'm grateful for the course and all of those things, that and the resilience that it taught me, and the courage that it took to put it out there, right? But I feel like I did it. Like, could I do it? It was all about proving it to myself. Could I create this thing? Could I put it all together? Could I put it in a format that other people would be interested in taking it? Could I teach it to other people? And I've done all of that, right? Um, so there was a lot of that feeling. But along with that, I also, was just not feeling well. And here's the problem when you have struggles with interoception and autism. When you don't feel well, it's really hard to figure out whether you physically feel unwell, whether you mentally feel unwell, whether it's your autism acting up, or if it's all of those things, right, going on. And so I was blaming, I think, a lot of my feeling unwellness on my autism and burnout and feeling drained and my mental health in general, right? Um, and what it turns out is I needed to pay a little bit of attention to my physical self. So been having a lot more headaches and things like that. And I was feeling really tired and just not well. And so in the 2 weeks that I had off from you guys, I finally tackled my fasting blood work. And so I did my fasting blood work and I got those results back. And I also went for an eye exam because I haven't had a new prescription in 2 years. And I know that I am squinting all the time in my glasses. So it was time to take care of my physical self too. And I barely had the energy to take care of what I considered my priorities, let alone my physical self. So when I go and I get this blood work, well, it turns out I was having super low electrolytes. So you know how you feel when you have the flu and you're just so exhausted because you have no electrolytes left in your system. You have no blood sugar, you have no nothing. You've just been vomiting or whatever. Well, I had low potassium, really low potassium, and so low that I need to take a supplement for my potassium. And that's because I take some blood pressure medications that kind of remove the electrolytes really quickly in an unnatural way from your body. So I need to replace them. So for who knows how long and for how many years I've had low potassium, not that long, I guess, because I had blood work like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So, I physically wasn't well. Like my body couldn't function and wasn't functioning well. So of course I didn't feel good, right? I'm happy to say that I've been about a week or so, or a week and a half on the potassium supplement, and I cannot tell you the difference. I cannot tell you how much better I feel. I literally went from feeling like I'd had the flu for months to just kind of feeling better, right? Like almost instantly. So really important to focus on what was physically going on as well for me. But again, I didn't have the luxury of stopping because I was in burnout, right? Okay. Glasses, prescription changed, shocker of all shockers. And it's been a process getting new glasses and figuring out how to get them and where to get them and all of that stuff was a process, and it was exhausting, but so important, right? How many of my headaches were being caused just because I was straining through my glasses, right? And so I'm sort of in that space, right? So I took care of that stuff, and like that was part of my not feeling well and part of my burnout. I mean, unraveling the whole thing, right, has been interesting, right? And then I really sat to think about what are the things that energize me out of what it is that I do with autism stuff, and what it is that drains me. So there's some things that I need to start avoiding. Of course, the dogs are going to bark. They have to. They cannot let me have a live stream without them barking, not once. So interviews, like podcast interviews or doing interviews with people, is exhausting to me. I don't want to do them anymore. I love you guys, but one-on-ones are exhausting to me. I'm not doing them anymore. Okay. Taking on clients that are neurotypical is exhausting to me. Editing for them, working with them, for whatever reason, it's really hard for me right now. And so even though I can't ask, I'm going to do my best to kind of avoid neurotypical clients for a bit. Tired of the money hustle and the nonsense meetings, like, hey, let's meet and see if we can find a collaboration to work together. Or, hey, let me meet with you for 15 minutes and see if I'd like to hire you for blah, 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 blah. Well, no more. If you're not really interested in hiring me, if you don't have a budget to work with and that kind of shit, I'm just not. So no more of those for me either. Quiet. Right? And social media is exhausting to me. I need to ditch it. Either I need to spend less time on it, which I did for the last 2 weeks. I set it up for one post a day for the last 2 weeks, and I haven't paid any attention to it really, and I love it. I haven't missed it. Same thing, no offense to YouTube. I haven't missed having to put so much energy out into the world, right? I don't have it all to give in that way, and I don't want to do it so much anymore. So I'm going to be cutting down live streams, and I'm going to be probably instead uploading videos a little bit more often, right? And then the things that I'm keeping, right? I genuinely love doing the podcast with Doug, the info dump. I love teaching or speaking. So if people still want to hire me for that, I genuinely, that is not a spoon stealer for me, and I will do that. I'm happy to do that. I'm going to keep one-on-ones for my the self-defined living people only. So if you've taken the course or are taking the course, I will still see you one-on-one, not on a regular basis though. And big paying projects only. Otherwise, I want to be busy doing the shit that I find interesting. I'm really in that space right now. So yeah, I'm going to be ditching the interviews, the blog writing, networking meetings, all of that shit. And I think the stuff that's still undecided for me and the stuff that I'm not finished processing yet is YouTube. How much of it do I want to do? How much do I want to do live? How much do I want to do uploaded? And of course, social media, how I want to balance that out. And I'm still up in the air about the course and whether I want to still teach it twice a year or not, and just leave it up for recording in the seminars. And then lastly, of course, is the newsletter. I'm sort of on the fence about that one too. So that's the big thing that's been going on for me. That's what this 2 weeks has been like for me. It's been a lot of processing and a lot of figuring out where, when, what. So what I have to say to you guys is bear with me. I am still figuring out how often I can handle a live stream, how often I should do an upload instead. Should I not do YouTube at all? How about social media? Should I pay someone else to do it? But that stuff is still on the fence. And so I don't really know. So bear with me as I rebuild my life. And I rebuild my website because I'm going to do that too. I'm sort of messing around over there and what I want to be available. So keep a lookout for that stuff for me, but know that what I've been putting out there in terms of content is going to change drastically this year. I have 2 really big projects that I told you were my goal projects, the research as well as the book. And that is stuff that I need to do with all of my spoons and all of my time. And that means I won't have time and energy for some of this other stuff. But I think it's going to be worth it for me. Still working on kind of unpeeling all of this and still working on recouping from it as well. But I wanted to share with you where I'm at and kind of what I'll be doing going forward. So for now, I'm going to keep the live stream on Wednesday. So I'll be doing it once a week on Wednesdays, being Becca Live at our regular time. But I'm going to let gratitude go. I need to take that back and do that in my own private time and not put it out here. And some of the time our live streams are going to be uploaded and sometimes I'll be here live. But once a week, I'll attempt to put YouTube content out there at least. And then other than that, you guys, stay focused on my social media because if anything new is happening, it's going to be coming out there. Otherwise, this is what I have to look like for the next few months, like this. This is me, my life for the next, 8 months. So bear with me as you miss me. Write to me, email me, message me through social media. But there is going to be some changes happening around here. And I hope they're for the good. I know they're for my good. And I got to take care of me first. That's what I teach you guys too. So with that, I say thank you for taking some time and spoons to join me today and catch up with what I'm up to and what's going on with me. I hope to catch up with you again next week. And in the meantime, you guys, joy is the priority. Get out there and seek joy, create joy, share joy, all the joys. And I will see you out and about on the interwebs. Bye.